Hello and welcome back. I'll be trying a new series of videos, and I'll be talking about a common subject of sympathetic monsters. And what does that mean? It means a character from a book series, movie, video game, what have you, who does morally reprehensible things, yet there is a flex of sympathy in their character. And it has that conflicting emotion that this person is horrible, yet I feel sympathy for him on some degree and pity him. Possibly, it could be pity, it could be something else, it could be general sympathy, or it could be wanting to fix them, or it could be a number of other emotions that you want to lend goodwill to them. And on the first list would be Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th series. And if you don't know, Jason Voorhees is a mongoloid child with a syndrome that is akin to water on the brain, and I believe it was hydrostrophy. I probably butchered that, I am so sorry. And it has caused him some form of mongoloidism, some intelligent impairment, and physical elephant man symptoms and ridicule between the children of his age. And his mother, Pamela Voorhees, was the camp cook. This is all a summer camp take you at Camp Crystal Lake, which will be the backdrop of near almost every single film and a landmark in the series. And with the teasing and bullying and stuff, and the camp counselors being so young and promiscuous as to this probably be their first job, so they're more likely to fuck up most of the time. And that's what they've been doing, fucking each other and taking drugs, drinking and stuff like that, smoking pot, because I guess back then it wasn't so, pot was, mixed up with cocaine because the whole war on drugs and Reagan's heavy iron fist upon that. Calling it a dangerous substance, I tell you, it's not. Experience. But, not about marijuana, but the things that play into why Jason kills later on, or because his mother kills. Big spoiler warning there. She was a killer in the first film. That was a great twist. Loved it, and the whole cha-cha-cha-cha is actually a synthesized and recorded scratch of kill mom, kill mom. Jason's spirit or her mental illness, trying to cope with the loss of her son, taking revenge upon these young people with promiscuous attitudes, and with later on in the series when Jason coming back as a full-grown man who didn't really die but survived the drowning and grew up as a bushman or a hermit, like that, and being kind of from wrong turn type of people of surviving on what you can, hillbillyism in shacks, and keeping his mother's head, as he always wants his mother's approval. There's that sympathy of I am a mama's boy, so I do feel that connection you do have. I've been teased and called ugly and fat and whatnot for being different among my cousins and going through that experiences and growing as a person. So I can relate to that and my mom, and I'm still blessed that I still have her. Moving on from that, Jason kills anybody who is morally reprehensible that was the cause of his death, air quotes. So moving on from that, in part 3 he gets a signature hockey mask, because before he was wearing a potato sack over his head with one little hole for his eye. And in 3, I believe he gets an axe to the head, and on the upper left corner of the mask he has a huge gash from an axe, and it looks really cool because over time there is a certain continuity of him getting the shit kicked out of him from killing people and surviving his battles and whatnot. As a mongoloid full-grown man who is mentally still a child trying to please his mother's spirit. On 4, they kill him from the boy Tommy Jarvis, who later on in the series and in the comic books will become a big proponent to Jason, a very much of a Batman and Joker kind of Sherlock Holmes Moriarty, but this will be a boy killing this undead thing. But before that, in 4, Jason gets his face chopped up in bits. Then in 5, it's not Jason, it's an imposter and a whole ruse. And in 6, he comes back as a reanimated corpse from a lightning bolt from a metal rod in his chest when digging up his corpse, and they're trying to, I don't know, kill him more and make sure he's dead because Tommy Jarvis is so racked from pain from the years of hiding and screaming and stuff like that, of the memory of Jason. And in 6, they really did try to make him into an anti-hero. They tried to implement humor, subtle humor, which I liked. It's a good film, and we have the Alice Cooper song, He's Back. The man behind the mask. I can't sing. And part 7, my favorite, we have Kane Hodder playing Kane now. And he is a not a stocky guy, but a really just muscle guy. And he plays him great as a stunt guy. He goes through hell set on fire, and this is the one that really shows him as a zombie, a ghoul, a reanimated corpse. He doesn't need to eat for sustenance. I think he's just a constant being of a reanimated mummy. Jason is no longer a mongoloid trying to please his son. There is still a bit of that, a little bit. But more he is a Cerberus now, guarding the gates of hell, and the gates of hell happen to be Camp Crystal Lake. That's the whole kind of thing. I feel he becomes like a grudge, kind of a Japanese spirit that is bound to this place, and he's just killing because, it's just so ingrained with emotion and power. Then on 8, he goes to Manhattan, which they filmed in Vancouver. Most of the movie does take on a boat. There's great camera work there. This one is very more sympathetic to Jason, I find. This one is the more rooting for him more because he has great character moments of walking down the streets of New York, Vancouver, where they filmed. Him kicking a boombox and a gang of punks, take out their switchblades and say, "Hey, you got a problem?" And Jason just turns around and flips up in his mask, and they look in horror. We don't see it. It's that whole, what we don't see is actually worse in our own imaginations, which I love that. Moving on from there, 9, Jason Goes to Hell is very going against the grain. It was, he gets blown up in the beginning from a Special Forces kind of Hulkbusters crew of people, and his heart hypnotizes a guy, a coroner or a morgue operator person, and he eats the heart and he becomes possessed by a spirit. This is very supernatural, soaked in, which is cool. And we get him body hopping throughout the whole film, and there's nods to Evil Dead with the Necronomicon in Jason's house, which is a great, because that ties in later with the comics. And at the end of the film, Jason gets pulled into hell by Freddy's claw glove, and it really this one film kind of opened the floodgates of the Nightmare and Elm Street universe and the Evil Dead Army of Darkness universe, which was great. And then we get the Jason X, which shoots into more science fiction, which is kind of cool. There's great deaths. That's probably my favorite design of Jason. Not the cyborg, but the one he is. That interpretation of him, just how his mask and the reflection off his eyes, and just how he's wearing this kind of just shirt and jacket, and he looked really cool with the whole bolt around his neck. I just loved his design. Then I'm rambling. And he has the highest body count in that film, I find. He does, like 28 people, 7 of them in the first 5 minutes of the film. Going on from that, that again, we have Freddy vs. Jason, which I love. Just as a fan of both the film franchises, Freddy is 100% a monster, I find, because he was a psychotic kid. Great mythology behind him and stuff like that, making deals with the dream demons and becoming this boogeyman of supernatural power, and just, in the original films they didn't really make him a child diddler, except in the remake, which is okay. I love Jackie Earle Haley, so can't go wrong there. And they really made him more like a burn victim with the cat eyes, and yeah. Anyway, Jason. Moving us from that, I said that again. I really liked it. It was kind of a team up, then it ended there. Then we get into the comics. And the comics are really great. I love how Jason, they play with more of the psychology of his mother and stuff like that. I gotta reread the comics. There's 2 of them, Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, and its sequel, Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, the Nightmare Warriors, was just kind of a Justice League, of Avengers, of all these people who survived all those horror movies and came together with Tommy Jarvis and the Psychic Girl from Part 7 and the redhead from the Dream Master and stuff like that. And they all come together and they fight Freddy and Jason, and I love Jason's redesign in that. All of that, I'm saying, there's something I really do like Jason. He has a great presence like Boba Fett, and he's sympathetic like Sabretooth in some degrees, but Jason doesn't rape. I don't find. He'll probably hate fuck you with his knife or a machete, and he's not sexual in any least. He's that childhood innocence that he just wants to destroy, kill, maim, and whatnot. Nothing sexual or more deeper devious. That's where Freddy comes in. Freddy Krueger is more of a sexual deviant than Jason ever is. Jason's kind of neutered in that fact of non-sexuality, which makes him more of a force of nature than anything, because it makes it less human and more of a element. I hope you enjoyed my first segment, Sympathetic Monsters, and